83 million British pounds sterling. That's the mind-boggling estimated worth of the jewellery collection adorning one woman, Kate Middleton, the Princess of Wales. But what if, behind the sparkle of diamonds and sapphires, lies not just a tale of luxury, but a complex web of heritage, duty, and unspoken obligations? Each piece of jewellery she wears isn't merely an accessory. It's a relic, a silent keeper of memories from queens and princesses past. Today, we'll delve into a fascinating question. Where does a personal gift end and a national treasure begin? And what price, really, does Kate pay for the privilege of wearing these legendary treasures? To truly grasp the essence of Kate's collection, we must journey back in time to the dawn of the 1980s. This was an era when the world, weary from political and economic crises, yearned for a fairy tale. And it found one in the person of Lady Diana Spencer. Her transformation into the Princess of Wales became a global media phenomenon, and her jewellery wasn't merely accessories, they were chapters in this dazzling new story. Back then, the royal family's jewels weren't so much about fashion as they were a language of power, diplomacy, and dynastic succession. Every new piece Diana wore was a public declaration, a meticulously calibrated message to the world. At the heart of crafting these masterpieces stood the House of Garrard. For a century and a half, they proudly held the title of crown jewelers, fashioning adornments for monarchs from Queen Victoria to Queen Elizabeth II. Their style was synonymous with British grandeur, classic, monumental, and impeccable. Garrard's artisans didn't merely work with metal and stones, they forged symbols destined to outlast their wearers and weave themselves into the fabric of national history. It was to them that Prince Charles turned when he decided to make a proposal upon which he believed the future of the crown would hinge. But right here, the fairy tale developed its first crack and veered off script. In February of 1981, not one, but an entire collection of Garrard rings arrived at Windsor Castle. 19-year-old Diana was invited to choose. This was already a breach of protocol. Typically, such significant pieces are bespoke, crafted as a unique emblem of the union. Diana, trusting her instincts, set her heart on a ring featuring a 12-carat Ceylon sapphire encircled by 14 diamonds. Her choice wasn't dictated by price, it wasn't even the most expensive, but by personal taste. The stone reminded her of her mother's ring and perfectly complemented the color of her eyes. This choice had far-reaching consequences. The ring, it turned out, wasn't exclusive. It was featured in Garrard's main catalogue. Anyone of sufficient means could purchase an identical one. The press immediately dubbed it the commoner's sapphire, seeing in this a bad omen. But for millions across the globe, it became a symbol that their new princess was one of them, relatable, approachable, and truly connected to the people. Thus, from this pivotal choice, this small rebellion against unwritten rules, began the birth not just of a piece of jewelry, but of a legend. This ring became the cornerstone of Diana's jewelry story, and subsequently, a central element in Kate's collection. Its original intent was simple, to seal a union. But its story, from the very beginning, embarked on a different, far more intricate and dramatic path. Around this sapphire, like planets around a sun, other jewels began to orbit. Wedding gifts, diplomatic presents, personal tokens of affection, all forming the very legacy that now rests upon the shoulders of the Princess of Wales. Let's, for a moment, set aside the auction house valuation and look at these treasures through the eyes of a master jeweler. At the heart of it all, naturally, is the engagement ring. Its beating heart, a 12-carat, oval-cut Ceylon sapphire. This isn't just a blue stone. It's a fragment of Sri Lanka's sky, captured within a crystal. Its hue, deep, velvety, royal blue, possesses a rare quality. It never loses its saturation, even in dim light, as if glowing from within. Garrard's jewelers didn't attempt to eclipse it. They merely emphasized its majesty. 14 perfectly matched round-cut diamonds form a halo around it, flashing with cool fire with every flick of the hand. They don't contend with the sapphire, rather they serve as its royal retinue, their sole purpose to capture light and channel it into the ring's azure heart. Imagine its cool heft on your finger. The 18-karat white gold setting is almost invisible, merely supporting this symphony of light, allowing the stones to seemingly float above the skin. This isn't just an adornment, it's a tactile experience. The delicate clink it makes against a champagne flute, the shimmer it casts on a tablecloth by candlelight, all are part of its magic. The design, known as a cluster or halo, was popular even in the Victorian era, and hidden within this choice was a symbol, timeless classicism, the steadfastness of tradition, protection from all sides. Yet, at the same time, its availability in a catalogue became a silent reproach to that very steadfastness, a subtle crack in the monolith of royal protocol. Around this sapphire sun, an entire planetary system began to form almost immediately. The main satellite became a wedding gift from the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, a parure so grand and daring it could rival the treasures of Maharajas. The necklace from this set isn't just jewelry, it's a declaration. A colossal Burmese sapphire at its center, weighing almost 3 times more than the one in the engagement ring, was suspended from a veritable river of baguette-cut diamonds. The design, inspired by Art Deco fringe, was ultra-modern for its time, yet it harmonized perfectly with the classic ring. Joining this duo was a third, most majestic element, the lover's knot tiara. Here, we see an entirely different approach to the jeweler's art. Created in 1913 for Queen Mary, it is a paragon of Edwardian elegance. Its platinum and diamond framework forms 19 arches, each topped with a pearl drop. These pearls, large and pear-shaped, aren't rigidly fixed. They swing freely with every turn of the head, creating a sense of living, breathing light. However, beneath this ethereal beauty lay an incredible weight. Rumor has it that the tiara's sheer mass caused Diana headaches, a beauty demanding sacrifice, a symbol of the crown's burden she had taken upon herself. Thus, the anatomy of this legacy was, from the very beginning, built upon 3 pillars: the personal, almost intimate choice of the ring, the resounding diplomatic gesture of the Saudi parure, and the weighty symbol of dynastic succession, Queen Mary's tiara. Together, they constituted not merely a collection of jewels, but a complete image, a sartorial arsenal ready for its first triumphant public appearance. February 24th, 1981. A chilly London day, but the air around Buckingham Palace practically crackled with anticipation. Hundreds of reporters and photographers from across the globe gathered to witness a historic moment: the official announcement of the engagement of the Prince of Wales and Lady Diana Spencer. As the couple emerged onto the lawn, all cameras were trained on them, but the real explosion of attention occurred the moment Diana, shyly and almost timidly, raised her left hand. In that instant, the world saw it for the first time: the ring. Against the backdrop of her simple blue Kojana suit, which she had deliberately chosen to match the stone's color, the ring didn't just shine, it blazed. The flashes of hundreds of cameras, reflecting in the 14 diamonds, transformed them into a scattering of icy stars, while at the center of this galaxy, the deep, almost hypnotic fire of the Ceylon sapphire burned. This wasn't merely the debut of a piece of jewelry, it was the coronation of a symbol. In a single moment, Diana ceased to be just the heir apparent's fiancée. She became the wearer of the world's most famous ring. It became the visual anchor of her new status, the tangible embodiment of the fairy tale millions yearned to believe in. The image created that day was flawless. The ring didn't just complement the outfit, it was its focal point, its very meaning. It became the final flourish that transformed a modest aristocrat into a future-style icon. This was Diana's first and most powerful lesson in the art of visual communication. She understood that jewels weren't mere adornments, but headlines she wrote herself without a single word. She didn't just display a ring, she introduced the world to her new identity. The reaction was instantaneous and global. The very next day, newspaper front pages worldwide were emblazoned with close-ups of her hand. The ring was instantly canonized. Jewelry stores were swarmed by women eager to own a piece just like Diana's. Demand for blue sapphires skyrocketed, giving birth to an entire industry of replicas and imitations. This wasn't just admiration, it was a mass cultural fever. The envy of the aristocracy mingled with the adoration of ordinary people who saw in this jewel not so much a royal regalia, but a symbol of an achievable dream. But beneath the wave of admiration, whispers began. The fact that the ring came from Garrard's catalogue became a hot topic of discussion in high society. Snobs saw it as poor taste, a breach of centuries-old traditions. Yet the public interpreted it differently. Diana chose what she liked, not what was prescribed. It was an act of personal will, not blind adherence to protocol. Thus, on her very first official day, this ring sparked not only a fashion trend, but also the first political murmurs, outlining the future conflict between Diana and the establishment. Its triumph was not merely aesthetic, but strategic. From a simple object, it transformed into a legend, and that legend was only just beginning its life. The 1980s arrived, and the world got its princess. The golden age of these jewels was inextricably linked with Diana, who transformed them from status symbols into instruments of personal charm and quiet revolution. She didn't just wear them, she used them to engage in a dialogue with the world, a dialogue far more eloquent than any official statement. The jewels became her voice, her armor, and her calling card. The sapphire engagement ring was her faithful companion, a constant in the shifting world of palace intrigues. It graced her hand as she introduced newborn princes to the world on the steps of the Lindo wing. It sparkled as she, defying all protocols, shook hands with an AIDS patient, shattering a wall of fear and prejudice with a single gesture. It was there as she walked through the minefields of Angola. The ring ceased to be merely a symbol of engagement. It became a symbol of her motherhood, her compassion, her mission. It was an integral part of her public image, an anchor that reminded the world who she was, even as her personal life crumbled. For official receptions and state visits, the heavy artillery came out. The lover's knot. Tiara became her de facto crown. By wearing it, Diana took on the full weight of the monarchy, both literally and figuratively. At state banquets, she shimmered under the spotlights, but behind her smile lay the physical pain of the heavy ornament. This tiara became a metaphor for her role, dazzlingly beautiful, incredibly prestigious, yet demanding immense fortitude and personal sacrifice. Diana wore it with dignity, transforming it from a relic of the past into a relevant symbol of a modern princess. But Diana's true genius as a style icon was evident in how she handled gifts. The Saudi parure, presented as a sign of diplomatic respect, became a fashion tool in her hands. She boldly broke up the set, wearing the earrings and necklace separately. The apex of her stylistic audacity came during an official visit to Australia in 1985. Instead of wearing the Saudi necklace around her neck, she transformed it into a dazzling choker bandeau, tying it across her forehead. It was a lightning bolt that electrified the world and sent shockwaves through the staid royal court. That single gesture spoke volumes: youthful defiance, an impeccable sense of style, and a brazen disregard for antiquated protocols. She took a formal, almost ponderous piece of jewelry and transformed it into a striking element of a Gatsby-esque avant-garde ensemble. This moment was forever etched into the annals of fashion history. Diana proved she was no mere curator of ancient relics. She was a vibrant woman who commanded her jewels to serve her, not the other way around. And so dawned the golden age of these treasures. In Diana's hands, they found their soul. The ring transformed into a talisman, the tiara a true crown, and the necklace a vibrant banner of her independence. She wore them to the most defining moments of her life, from her iconic dance with John Travolta at the White House to the official portraits that cemented her public image. She became so intimately linked with these jewels that in the minds of millions, they transcended their status as mere crown property. They simply became Diana's. And it was this very aura, imbued with a deeply personal history and an undertone of tragedy, that the next generation was destined to inherit. Yet, behind the dazzling facade of this golden age, lurked the darker underbelly of fame. The more brilliantly Diana's jewels sparkled in public, the deeper the shadows they cast over her personal life. Each exquisite piece, once a shimmering emblem of love and hope, slowly morphed into a silent, poignant witness to a crumbling marriage. The sapphire engagement ring, which the world had embraced as the promise of a fairy tale, became for Diana herself a stark reminder of shattered dreams and the icy solitude within her gilded cage. It remained on her finger for years, even as love withered, a powerful symbol of her duty to the crown and, more profoundly, to her sons. The poignant culmination of this quiet drama arrived the moment Diana finally removed the ring. In September of 1996, following her official divorce, the jewel, by terms of the agreement, was required to revert to the royal collection. This stark legal reality was merciless. It obliterated all personal history, transforming the talisman back into a soulless asset of the monarchy. That gesture, a finger now bare of its blue companion, spoke louder than any pronouncements. The fairy tale had officially ended. Yet the most famous legend of all was forged even earlier, in June of 1994. On the very evening Prince Charles publicly confessed his infidelity in a televised interview, Diana famously refused to retreat from the world. Instead, she donned a daring black dress, later famously dubbed the Revenge Dress, and stepped out to an event at the Serpentine Gallery. It was the jewel she chose that evening that became her ultimate weapon. It was a substantial sapphire choker, ingeniously repurposed from a brooch gifted to her by the Queen Mother. By wearing it, Diana orchestrated an act of brilliant stylistic subversion. She took a gift meant to symbolize her acceptance into the family and transformed it into a powerful emblem of her unyielding strength and fierce independence. This public appearance was no mere outing, it was a meticulously choreographed act of defiance. She did not look like a victim, she looked like a queen reclaiming her throne. This was a documented fact that instantly blossomed into myth, becoming one of the most indelible moments not only in fashion history but also in the annals of public communication. Following Diana's tragic death in 1997, a new, almost mystical chapter began in the saga of her treasures. A widely circulated story, confirmed by numerous sources, recounts how her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, were each allowed to select one item from her personal effects as a keepsake. William, the heir apparent, chose a Cartier watch, a birthday gift from his mother, a poignant symbol of time and continuity. And Harry, the younger son, selected the engagement ring. His reasoning was both simple and deeply touching. He wanted his mother's ring to one day grace the hand of the woman he would love. It is here that fact intertwines with the burgeoning legend of brotherly devotion. Years later, when William was ready to propose to Kate Middleton, Harry, true to his childhood sentiment, unhesitatingly offered him the ring. This was no mere beautiful myth, but an act later confirmed by those within their closest circle. This profound gesture served as an act of redemption for the jewel itself. The ring, once shadowed by a history of pain and divorce, was cleansed by an act of profound brotherly love and self-sacrifice. Harry bestowed upon William not just a precious jewel, but the profound right to rewrite its narrative, to grant it a second chance to embody what it was always meant to be, a symbol of happy and enduring love. August 31st, 1997. In Paris's Pont de l'Alma tunnel, not just a life ended, but an entire era drew to a close. With Diana, the light of her jewels too dimmed. The treasures that were once inseparable from her image overnight transformed from vibrant symbols of life into tragic relics. Their subsequent fate was not merely a matter of inheritance, it was a delicate and painful procedure that the entire world watched, holding its breath. This was neither an auction nor a grand transfer. It was a quiet, somber farewell. The jewels, including the famous ring and the lover's knot tiara, were returned to the royal vaults. The atmosphere of that moment was not charged with excitement, but heavy with grief. Jewelers and curators, who once prepared these pieces for dazzling public appearances, now worked in silence, packing them into the velvet sarcophagi of their boxes. Each soft click of a clasp, each closure of a case, sounded like a final chord. The end of an era was palpable in the cold metal, stripped of skin's warmth, in the silence of stones that no longer reflected camera flashes. And then came a long, almost deafening silence. For over a decade, these legendary jewels remained in oblivion, hidden within the shadows of the royal repositories. They were too renowned to be refashioned or sold, and too deeply imbued with Diana's memory for anyone else to wear them. Any attempt to bring them back into the public eye would have been perceived by society as sacrilege, an effort to occupy a place that forever remained vacant. They became jewelry ghosts, their existence an undeniable fact, yet their public appearance inconceivable. This was their life in the shadows, a period when their value was measured not in carats, but in the profound depth of public love and sorrow. They lay in darkness, awaiting their moment, awaiting a new generation that could separate the legacy from the tragedy. The world could only wonder, would these treasures ever again see the light of day? And who would dare to embrace not merely the sparkle of the stones, but the entire weight of their incredible history? November 16th, 2010, St. James's Palace. The air buzzed with an anticipation that had built for over 10 years. The world awaited not just news, but a sign, a symbol that the monarchy had begun to heal its wounds and was ready to move forward. And then, in a single moment, as Kate Middleton smiled beside Prince William and raised her hand to adjust her hair, the world gasped. On her finger, as if resurrected from oblivion, shimmered that very Celanese sapphire, encircled by 14 dazzling diamonds. The ghost had returned to the stage, but it was no longer a ghost of tragedy. This was no mere return, it was a triumphant rebirth, carefully orchestrated and deeply personal. Prince William himself articulated the jewel's new mission, explaining his choice. "This ring was very dear to me, as Kate is now. It's my way of making sure my mother doesn't miss out on this day and is right here with us." With these words, he performed an almost alchemical act, transforming a symbol of pain and unfulfilled hopes into a talisman of continuity and unwavering love. The ring ceased to be exclusively Diana's. It became William's, Kate's, and a vibrant homage to Diana's memory. The jewel's new interpretation was entirely different. On Diana's hand, the ring was a drama, reflecting her tumultuous life, her hopes, and her disappointments. It was part of headlines, scandals, and triumphs. On Kate's hand, it became a story. It no longer screamed, it spoke in a quiet, confident voice. Kate Middleton, with her serene dignity and impeccable reputation, became the perfect custodian for this re-envisioned legacy. She did not attempt to imitate Diana or usurp her place, she simply accepted the torch. She wore the ring not as a burden from the past, but as a blessing for the future. The perception of the jewel shifted dramatically. While in 1981 it sparked a sapphire fever driven by fashion, in 2010 it ignited a wave of profound emotional resonance. People saw in this not just an engagement, but a healing, the completion of a painful cycle. The ring became a potent symbol that even from the greatest tragedy, new hope can blossom. It had earned a second chance, just as the monarchy itself had. It was at this precise moment that the ring's value reached its absolute pinnacle. Its auction price, already immense, skyrocketed into the stratosphere, but that became irrelevant. Its true worth now lay not in carats or the purity of its stones, but in its unparalleled provenance. It became a living bridge between the past and the future, between the Queen of Hearts and a future queen consort. It connected two eras, two women, two distinctly different yet equally vital stories for the monarchy. Its second birth was more than just a return. It was its coronation as one of the greatest artifacts of modern British history. Where are these treasures today? The answer is both simple and complex. They are with the Princess of Wales, Kate Middleton. But here lies a crucial nuance. She is not the owner, but the guardian. Legally, her collection is divided into two parts. The first comprises personal items, inherited or gifted, such as the Sapphire engagement ring, which is now her unequivocal property. The second, and far more significant portion, consists of jewels from the monarch's personal collection, which are lent to her for temporary use. Tiaras, historic necklaces and brooches formerly belong to the crown, and Kate acts as a curator of this invaluable heritage. This is precisely why the status of these jewels has changed forever. They are no longer mere accessories, nor even royal regalia in the traditional sense. They are historical artifacts in motion. Every time Kate wears the lover's knot tiara to a state banquet, it is not a display of luxury. It is a living museum exhibit that leaves its vault for one evening to fulfill its dynastic role. Her choices are never arbitrary. They are dictated by protocol, historical context, and diplomatic necessity. She, the guardian of eternity, bears the primary responsibility of carrying these symbols through her time and passing them on to the next generation, intact and preserved. The contemporary valuation of this legacy is mind-boggling, yet it is comprised of very specific components. The engagement ring today is estimated at approximately £390,000, but this figure is almost nominal, as its true value is intangible, the lover's knot. Tiara is worth around £1 million, while the Saudi Sapphire parure soars to a staggering £15 million. This price reflects more than just the weight of gold and the carats of stones. It is made up of four elements: impeccable material quality, the craftsmanship of a legendary jewelry house, historical significance, and of course, the magic of provenance. The mere mention of Princess Diana's name in its ownership history instantly multiplies the auction value of any item tenfold. Thus, today, these jewels have definitively transitioned into the realm of global cultural heritage. They belong to history. In Kate's keeping, they fulfill their final and most crucial function, serving as a living link between eras, a poignant reminder of the monarchy's continuity and of the human stories that lie behind the cold sparkle of precious gems. They are no longer bought or sold. They simply exist as an invaluable and eternal part of national and global heritage. So, let us circle back to the pivotal question we began with. At what point does a cherished personal gift transform into a national treasure? The saga of Kate Middleton's enduring legacy offers a definitive answer. That boundary dissolves the instant a piece of jewelry graces her person in the name of the crown. While a sapphire ring might initially be the princess's private property, the moment it makes an appearance at an official reception, it transmutes into something far greater, a facet of the national image, an instrument of soft power, and a potent visual emblem of dynastic resilience. Such is the profound paradox of her position. Even the most intimate possessions are ultimately subsumed by the public domain. And the true cost she bears isn't measured in pounds or pence. It's the forfeiture of personal choice. Each time she adorns herself with these treasures, it's not merely a fashion statement. It's a resonant historical quotation. When she dons the lover's knot tiara, she carries not just its considerable physical weight, but also the poignant burden of Diana's memory, her triumphs and her tragedies alike. Selecting a brooch for a diplomatic visit demands meticulous consideration of intricate protocols and the nuanced history of international relations. The true cost is the ceaseless awareness that one isn't merely wearing an ornament, but rather perpetuating its ongoing narrative, with every single action indelibly etched into its chronicle for eternity. This, then, is the crowning revelation of our inquiry. The jewelry collection of the Princess of Wales transcends a mere assortment of precious objects. It is, in essence, a living chronicle, exquisitely rendered in diamonds, sapphires, and pearls. Each piece stands as a tangible embodiment of human passions, regal ambitions, and epic sagas. They are the silent witnesses who have beheld it all: the timid smile of a nascent bride, the desperate glint in the eyes of a betrayed wife, the fraternal love that rewrote the destiny of a relic, and the serene dignity of its latest custodian. They have outlasted their creators and their initial bearers, destined to endure, transitioning from one opulent casket to the next, from one epoch to another. They are not merely adornments. They are history itself, meticulously cast in metal and exquisitely faceted in stone. A living chronicle that demands not to be read, but to be truly seen. They stand as enduring testaments to one simple truth: monarchs may falter, empires may crumble, and generations may fade, yet the intrinsic beauty and profound history encapsulated within a genuine masterpiece endure. For authentic treasures do more than simply reflect light. They preserve it, transmitting across generations an eternal narrative of love, duty, and immortality.